We're going to do a series of backbends today, and backbends can be really energizing. So, if you're doing this at night, maybe take variations that are a little less extreme so that you're not boosting your energy so much, and or you can practice these in the morning to wake up the system and get the spine more flexible. But we want to be really careful about the low back, and when we're coming into back bends, be lifting out of our hips and curling as opposed to sinking into the low back to get a deeper back bend. So we're going to do some postures in the beginning to get that neutral pelvis, to get the sacrum nice and even and flat so that we can enter deep back bends without going too far. So I'll offer lots of options as you come into the poses. You can use a strap for this first one, and if you don't have a strap, you can use a belt, or you can use this without a belt. So without a belt looks like this, with the feet at the edges of your mat and your knees touching. And with a belt, it looks like this, with a belt around your shins and knees, shins and like right above the knees. Place your feet hip width and make it so that the strap is just as tight as it needs to be to keep the knees and the femur bones parallel and knees in line with your hips. So we don't want the knees any closer than the feet or wider. So place your strap in a comfortable position for you. If you're using the strap, or feet wide and knees together. Let yourself be here resting in the position without anticipation of the next posture. So instead of thinking about forward motion or what's coming next, think about the opposite, thinking about sinking back, present moment. Attaching yourself to the present moment by thinking about the breath, following the breath in, following the breath out. As the legs rest into the strap, if you're using the strap, what happens is we get this nice rebound effect where the legs feel restriction. They can't go any wider than they are. And so, like a triangle widens at the base, the sacrum begins to widen and relax into the mat. Visualize on your exhales the low back widening, releasing. From your tailbone to the back of your head. Scan the spine and see if there's anywhere along the way that you could release tension and let relax into the mat a little more. Take 5 more breaths here. And if you have your legs in the strap, you can begin to release the strap and place it off to the side. Place your feet back onto the mat, knees bent, and very gently push into your feet and tilt your pelvis up, your tailbone up, to flatten out the low back. And then let the legs relax, let the pelvis start to roll back down and give a little arch in your back. And then start to move between these two motions. Push into your feet, roll your tailbone up and your low back down. Imagine pulling your navel into your spine and then unwind. Let the curve in your back naturally come back and the pelvis tilt. So push into your feet, curling. You're not doing a lot of motion here, but giving the low back a little bit of massage. So you can take a few more rounds of this on your own. With the breath, inhale, arching your back gently, exhale, pushing your feet in, low back flat. Take 2 more. Come to neutral. Walk your feet in a little closer and bring your fingers to your heels so that they're a comfortable distance. Keep the knees and femur bones parallel to each other. Start to push into the feet and lift your tailbone, but also lift your low back. Come into bridge pose. Lift your arms up and over your head. See here if you can activate your legs and release the glutes. Inhale here. And exhale, unroll slowly. Unroll your spine, bring your arms back down by your hips. And do that again. Push into your feet, curl your tailbone up, lift your arms up and over, backs of your hands touch the mat, and then start to exhale and roll back down. And start to move entirely with the breath, not making any physical motion any faster than your inhales and exhales are coming. So if you find yourself going quickly in and out of the poses, let your breath match. Or you can slow the motion down, slow the breath down. Up to you. Take 2 more rounds. Hands to the mat, knees in. Come into a small bow. Lift your head and shoulders. Take a deep breath here. And extend your left leg forward, flex your feet, lay your head back down, and bring your right knee over to the left. Come into a supine twist, straighten your left leg, and take your right arm over your head, open up the shoulder. Make sure you can breathe here, twisting a little more deeply into the lumbar spine, into the low spine. Inhale, exhale, release, come back onto your back. Knees into the chest, lift your head and shoulders, squeeze in, and then extend the right leg forward. And lower your head and shoulders. Bring your left leg over to the right, straighten your right leg, big circle with the left arm toe open up. Come into the twist.
Deep breathing. Feel yourself move in and out of the pose a little bit with your breath. And exhale, come back onto your back. Hug your knees in, take behind the knees. Rock and roll yourself a few times, eventually coming to seated. Making your way to a Sukhasana posture, cross-legged, hands on the fronts of the knees. Pull yourself forward. Think about the sternum reaching forward and the shoulder blades coming to touch behind you. And then start to roll back. Lift your knees, roll behind your sit bones, chin to chest. And do that 4 more times. Inhale. 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 Exhale. Doing this one last time. Inhale forward. Exhale around. Pull yourself forward. Roll over your knees. Come to tabletop. Spread out your fingers. Take cow pose. Letting your shoulders drop back. Think about a gentle stretch in the belly. Chin and tailbone lift. Inhale. And exhale. Round chin to chest. Curling in the spine. Imagine this to be a counter pose for back bending. Next inhale, come into cow pose. And exhale to cow pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, come into cow pose. And this time exhale, lift your knees, press into the tops of your feet when you come into cow pose. Take that a couple more times. Inhale, heart open. Exhale, activating your core, navel to spine. 2 more. Drop your knees and move your knees back a little bit more and hands a little bit forward and wide. And think about being a snake. Bend your elbows, bring your hips to the mat, come into cobra pose. And instead of cat pose, pull your navel up and back. Let your hips drop towards your heels. Not full child's pose, but keeping the legs parallel. Start to move here. Take 4 rounds. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, pushing into the hands, rounding the whole spine as hips come to heels. Inhale, slide forward. Exhale. Inhale. Come up to hands and knees. Walk your hands forward. Come into puppy dog pose. Hips stay as they are. Heart begins to melt forward, forehead on the mat or chin up the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Push into your hands enough to lift your chest. Slide onto your belly into Sphinx pose. Arms parallel to each other. And draw yourself forward. Activate your legs without engaging your glutes. So press your thighs down, press the tops of your feet down, relax the glutes and the low back. Lower onto your stomach, slide your hands under your shoulders, and gently roll yourself open without crunching up by the ears. Lower down. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Walk your hands back a little bit more. Now push into your hands.
Lift your hips, lift your thighs, shoulders over your wrists, really pushing down into your hands, upward facing dog. Head can be neutral, looking forward. Or if it feels okay on the back of the neck, you can look up. Take one more breath here. And exhale, come into downward facing dog. And pedal out the feet as you need. If the low back is feeling pinchy, bend both knees, send your chest back. Or you can pedal through your feet or bring your knees from side to side. Take 3 more breaths here, down dog. Rock forward, plank pose, find strength here. Building stability in the shoulders. Lower onto your elbows, come into forearm plank. Hug your elbows towards each other, arms parallel. Navel to spine on your exhales. Inhale and exhale, lower the hips. Come back into Sphinx pose. Rock your elbows a little forward of the shoulders. Draw your chest forward. This time, half frog. Left hand comes in, right knee bends. Grab your right foot. Try to grab the inside of the foot to open up the right shoulder. Push into your left forearm to lift your chest. Either maintain your foot like this, opening up the right shoulder, or you can slide your fingers to face down, elbow up, press down, heel towards your butt. Continue to reach your right knee back towards the back of your mat. Inhale and exhale, release. Turn yourself back to neutral, neutralizing the spine and pelvis. Turn your right hand in, bend the left knee, lean to the right so you can reach back. Activate, pushing down from your right shoulder into the elbow, into the palm. Stay here or lift your elbow, heel to the butt. Use your breath here. Imagine your ribs reaching forward and up as opposed to sending any weight at all into the low back. Breathe in and exhale, release. Parallel. Arms, inhale. Exhale, lower down. Hands behind the back. Interlace your fingers. Reach your knuckles towards your feet. And if you wish, you can keep your legs down or you can lift the legs, opening up the front side of the body. Let the neck feel natural here, so you can let it relax a little bit, look down. Inhale and exhale, release. Make your way to downward facing dog, either through hands and knees or a push up. Lift your hips, pedal through your feet. Inhale. As you exhale, return to hands and knees. Find that nice spot of your hands under the wrists, and extend your left leg and your right arm. Feel that the shoulder and the hip are in the socket, but also extending forward. And 3 times, touch or imagine touching your knee and your elbow on your exhales. Take 1 more. Extend out. Maybe take the bind again. Keep your gaze down. If you feel wobbly here, you can look forward or up, opening the right shoulder. Inhale and exhale, release. Move your hips from side to side to neutralize. And do the other side. Lift your right leg. Keep the right leg strong. Extend the left arm. Inhale here. Exhale, tap. Inhale, extend. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, Extend out, bend the right knee. Feel that lift in your chest. Think about from the sternum to the chin, reaching forward and up. The foot kicking into your arm to help open up the shoulder. Move your gaze where you feel like you're finding your edge. Inhale and exhale, release. Move your hips around, your head around, your shoulders around. Come to your knees and lift up. And tuck your toes under and bring your hands to your sacrum. Fingers facing down on the top of your butt. Send your hips back and apart. And then begin to engage your glutes a little bit as you lift your chest, squeeze your elbows together, and come into camel pose. Let your head and gaze be the last thing to change in the pose. On a breath in, bring yourself back upright, untuck your toes, and sit back onto your heels with your palms open. I'm showing you from the side in case you want to see how my body is positioned, and you can do it in a mirror too to see how the body looks. We want in this pose, as we come into it again, to think about if we fell out of the pose, that we fall forward and not back. So the goal is to not be hands on the heels and back like this, pinching in the low back. We want to be open up towards the front of the room so that from the knees all the way up to the shoulders are opening up into kind of a C shape. So the variations that you can try are the same one that we just did, hands on the hips. You can bring one hand or both to the heels, opening up. If flexibility allows, if the low back feels good, you can have the feet flat on the mat and reach back. Think about reaching up towards the ceiling and forward as we come into camel pose again. On a breath in, slowly unwind yourself back upright. Make your way to child's pose. Let your hips relax and your low back release here. Lift your head up, bring your knees to parallel, lower slowly onto your belly. Bring your hands forward, fingers facing each other, forehead on the mat. Lift your arms and lift your legs. Come into Salabhasana one last time. Maybe lift your head if it feels good. Feel this rocking motion of your belly as you breathe in and it pushes into the mat. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Bring your hands by your side. Bend your knees. Move your legs from side to side. And we'll take one final back bend here. You can take any of the back bends that we've done. Basically, this whole class has been back bending. So if any of those poses, Sphinx pose, upward dog, camel pose feels good. If the spine is feeling good, if this is in the morning, you can come into Dandasana, bringing your chest to the mat and bending your knees. And you can take your feet or your ankles in this pose, but in either one, flex your toes
And start to kick your feet back to lift your chest. You might notice yourself rocking in the posture. Keep your head in a neutral position. Maybe look at the top of your mat or slightly forward, but no arching in the neck, no pain in the low back or the neck. Take one last breath in and exhale, release. Hands rest under the forehead. Bring your legs back in line. Lift your right leg and lay it down. Lift your left leg and lay it down. We're going to rest in crocodile pose on our bellies. So if you'd like to, you can take a blanket or a pillow and place it under your hips to ever so slightly lift the hips to take the curve out of your low back. Hands under the forehead, heels turned out, toes in. Let yourself breathe and rest here. Let the breath be a massage on your stomach. Let your brows feel gentle pressure here. Breathe here, inner reflecting, feeling the effects of these back bends.